Many would argue that nothing of significance has happened since. Until now. Maybe you don't get out much.
Oh, this is crazy. This is totally crazy.
Maybe you're always running late.
I gotta go.
Or maybe you just have other things on your mind.
Yeah, they gotta make me a movie star.
But if you only make it to one scary film all year, make it one you remember all year long. Creepshow 2. If you like movies that will keep you stuck to your chair. Stephen King and George Romero have conjured up an all-new Creepshow.
No! That's impossible!
Just for you.
I mean, what is it?
Hey, I don't.
So don't just sit there.
I'm gonna swim for it right now.
Walk. Run. Swim if you have to.
I got you!
But whatever you do, don't take your time. Because the scares come twice as quickly.
I beat you!
Creepshow 2.
Hey, what is going on, man? Hey, we finally made it on the screen.
We got there. We got there finally.
Made it. Now that we're here, I'm ready
Yeah.
to kick butt.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. This is a really good throwback for me. Like rewatching this last night was just so much fun. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it too.
Oh yeah. Do you see a thing that says StreamYard across the front here?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get some.
There we go.
There.
It's gone.
Okay. For some reason, it was telling me that if I hit the comment, it would show it on the screen. It's like, man, I've only done 300 of these. I think I know by now. There's my fiance and my baby. Thanks, Russell. What's going on, man? Austin Wilcutt, Blissful. What's up, Blissful? When I can get back in my YouTube studio, I will have all you guys with wrenches and all that good shit. So yeah, man. 1987 Creepshow 2. The first one I did was with Chris. Here, what, about a week and a half ago, and we did the Tales from the Crypt film, and
Yeah.
that one ended up being a lot of fun.
That definitely was. Like I really enjoyed that stream. Hopefully, I mean, Chris knows his shit. So
No, so do you, man. You know. Yeah, I spent a lot of time doing this.
yeah,
Let's see.
you can tell
First
just by
of
that.
all, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you know who Joe Silver is, right? From
Yeah.
yeah. But he's the one that does the voice for the creeper on this. It's
I
it's Tom Savini's face, but it's
yeah,
Joe Silver's voice.
yeah, I saw that when I was watching it last night. I like going through the credits at the end, and I saw Joel Silver. I'm like, no, no way, because I knew
Mm,
Tom Savini was in the makeup,
yeah,
but
I guess
I
he's a
I
fan of
just
the
thought,
show.
yeah, no, that was great. Just learning these little things about these movies as I rewatch them, because back then I wouldn't know anything about this. Like I didn't know, like I knew Tom Savini a little bit,
Right.
but Joel Silver, no. I'm like, I didn't put two and two together. I'd watch the credits. I'd probably piss off after after the movie finished. I'd just walk away. I didn't stay for the credits, like because I didn't appreciate the work that was put into
Right.
these films.
Right. Like this has got one of the top. It has to be in the top three of all the wraparounds. With the animation, it bounces back
Yeah.
from him
Oh,
throwing magazines out the back to the animation to him throwing magazines out the back to three longer stories. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
they're not real long because the wraparound itself it itself takes time. You know what I mean? It has its own story too, kind of like say the Tales from the Dark Side one
Yep.
with the Hansel and Gretel type aspect. So yeah, um, was talking to somebody the other day, and I think it was Mikey, and Mikey said he asked me, "Do you like Creepshow one or Creepshow two better?" I couldn't answer. What I said was, if you could take the raft and you could take old Chief Woodenhead and put it in the original Creepshow, maybe take out the one with the bugs, and maybe take out the Geordie one. I know that's not real popular, but that's one of my least favorites. Put those two in
Yeah.
instead. I think you'd have the perfect Creepshow.
That's a good point. I couldn't decide which one I like more. I
Yeah.
don't think any particular segment I don't like. There are some that I prefer more than others, definitely. But I mean, for me, I think this one has three fantastic
Mhm.
stories, excluding the wraparound, like excluding that.
Right.
Just the
You ever
stories themselves are solid. They're well done. They're well acted. They're just near perfect.
have you noticed something about Creepshow 2 is whenever somebody brings up, hey, have you seen Creepshow 2? Everyone always says, oh yeah, I love the old Chief Woodenhead, and oh yeah, the raft is awesome. And then the
Yeah,
first thing they say after that is, thanks for the ride, lady. You know what I mean? They don't even
yeah,
name it the hitchhiker. They just say thanks for the
yeah.
ride. That's it's just yeah. I had a really good time checking this one out again. Did you know that
Well, for a
the
long
guy that
time, I
yeah,
actually thought the title of that one was "Thanks for the Ride." That's
you
what I
so
thought
did
the
I.
title was. Yeah,
I didn't think it's gonna be something as simple as the hitchhiker. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, because there is the hitch of the movie. Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
they would have tried to steer away from that because that was only a few years prior.
right. Yeah. This is
But
1987. I was 14 when it came out. I remember when it first came on HBO and I first watched it. I still had the VHS tape where we recorded it off HBO, as a matter of fact. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I've got fond memories of hiring this out for a birthday party,
Oh,
to
man.
watch for my birthday party, and yeah, no, it was just because I remember the first one of the first horror movies I watched was Creepshow, the original.
Hmm.
You know, and so seeing this a few years later for a birthday, like on my birthday, I was like mind blowing.
Yeah. Um, can you imagine the shoes they had to fill stacking up? Because, I mean, even then, the original Creepshow was considered the best horror anthology ever made. You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
considered the go. Even then.
yeah.
So they were bold in that trailer when they said, and nothing's happened since Creepshow until now. They're saying, hey, this is just as good as the first one. So that was quite a bold claim, man.
Oh, definitely. I mean, one of the things I noticed between the two, because I watched Creepshow quite recently. I think you were there with JT. Um, that has a lot more star power to it.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
only thing. The only
yeah.
thing I think this one would have exceeded the original if it
Right.
had bigger names.
Yeah. It's like they used all of them, and they're mostly names from yesteryear. In
Yeah,
in
yeah,
in the first story, you know, Chief Wood had like like George Kennedy,
yeah,
and Dorothy Lamour, you know what I mean? Which I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, talking about star power, but it's old star power. Like for instance,
yeah,
Dorothy Lamour that plays Martha, she was in like Donovan's Reef and Greatest Story, Greatest Show on Earth, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, older film. Where George Kennedy, he just kind of just went straight across and just did all eras. You know what I
yeah,
mean? This guy just
yeah,
full darn, full hand Luke, Naked Gun, Dirty Dozen. So
yeah. I mean, whenever someone mentions George Kennedy, I immediately think Naked Gun. That
I'm like,
that's my go-to. But I know he's been in some other films which are fantastic as well. But
the part where
that's where I
he's
know him
jumping the
from.
criminal's ass and he's going, if I could just get my hands on you just once, if I could just take off my badge and fight you man to man, I'd teach you a lesson. And then the
Mm.
camera swings away and you're pap 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 pap, and then you got Leslie Nielsen standing there saying, "Oh, will somebody please help the captain above the floor?" And then that guy's there like this. That dude just whooped his ass. No, it's fucking hilarious. Nice beaver. Thanks. I just had stuff in my
That's incredible. They're they're remaking it with Leslie, and going a little bit off topic, but they're remaking
head.
The Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen. I'm not sure how they'll get away with some of those jokes, if they'll get away with some of those jokes, because that's a different time, and
Yeah.
the writing and direction and just the delivery of those lines, like,
It
yeah,
You better pick somebody good because you know what I mean. They all did a very good job.
yeah,
And you gotta think O.J. Simpson was in those too. So that's interesting all by itself. That tells the story all on its own.
mm.
But yeah, man.
Anyway, slightly off topic.
Yeah, the screenplay was written by of course George Romero from the stories written by Stephen King, and then you know neither one of them directed it.
Mm.
They went in and switched it up to let me see. Who the hell, what did they switch it off to? Got so much shit written here, man. Okay, I don't have my usual shit down here, but it was I don't remember. Anyway, it was a dude that Romero works with all the time. God, man. Yeah, I have what I need right here, and we're gonna kick some ass on this. Like I said, we're gonna kick some butt. So, whenever you're ready to start in and tell us a story about that wraparound, I'll kick right into old Chief Woodenhead, man. We'll get it rolling whenever you're ready.
Yeah, well, so to start with, I think the wraparound, it's broken up into 4 parts between each movie and then the final one.
Right.
Um, but the way it starts out, it's live action. So you see this kid coming along on his bike, and he's going to get his favorite comic book, Creepshow. You know, and it starts
Yeah.
out live action, and that the kid that played it wasn't an actor. It was just apparently it was someone they just found and got him to ride his bike. That was it.
Right.
Um, yeah, and then it transitions like the creeper comes out, and you see this gruesome looking face portrayed by Tom Savini, and as you were mentioning, voiced by Joel Silver.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
creepiest voice and the creepiest look on the guy, like, and he
Yeah,
just
but
throws this bundle down to the ground, and then it transitions onto this animation, which watching it last night really took me back because you don't see that style of animation much more. It was very detailed, very like the lines on their faces, everything, the emotion. And talking about animation, you don't really get that kind of emotion in animation. It's usually kind of, cartoonish. Whereas this way, it was just done so well, and I think that's kind of a throwback to those EC comics. I think it was the way they
yeah,
drew them. But yeah, love just the way it transitioned. Then you get the bundle opening, and then you've got the Creepshow comic right there.
yeah, he gives Billy some shit. He says, "Never seen anyone so impatient. As if they're
Yeah,
like getting the first copy right off the presses." He fucks with him, yeah. You see, get the first edition of Creepshow. I guess your boils and ghouls have glutton for punishment.
Yeah, and then the
Loyal to
creeper
the
goes
Lord.
into his castle. Yeah,
Yeah,
boys and
yeah,
ghouls.
yeah. That I knew I heard that from somewhere. That's where JT gets that from.
But I
You
mean, it's yeah, like just then it, and that's what kind of for me sets it apart from the first one. Not just the animation, the wraparound,
yeah,
but
I
the way
love
it's
how they did that.
introduced.
They
It's
didn't copy and
more,
they didn't just flip through the pages and then
yeah,
zoom in on the story. They actually gave it a
yeah.
narration, and I like that. Oh,
And I mean,
chief.
to me, that was great, but it did kind of feel like it was taking away from the Crypt Keeper a little bit. They were
Yeah,
kind
well,
of influenced heavily by that.
yeah,
But I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was well done. It suited the style of film as well because they're telling stories. So you need someone to tell those stories. So it makes
yeah,
sense to have a narrator there.
yeah. The the camera comes in and it almost looks like an old ghost town. And you see an old man there, and he's singing to it's not even anything alive. You know what I mean? It's a statue. It's a man named Ray Spruce, played by, of course, George Kennedy. He's singing
Yeah.
Jimmy Crack Corn. Jimmy Crack Corn, I don't care. Jimmy Crack Corn, I don't care. Jimmy Crack Corn, I don't care. As long as I'm drinking Jimmy's Crack Corn. And like I said, he's talking to an old statue outside of an old store in what looks like a ghost town. And he tells him, he said, don't grin because you've heard that joke 1,000 times. Like it or not, old friend, as he's touching up his paint, um, he's talking about how he's bleached and says he's not what he used to be either. Says a chief without his war paint is like and then a woman, you hear a voice from inside. Turns out to be his wife, Martha. She says is like a store without its customers. And he just kind of gets this look on his face like he's heard this a million times. You know what I mean? He's just like, she's getting my ass again. Um, Says they've been there for years. He says he doesn't want to move, but she just wants to retire from the store because he's gotten old. He's gotten
Yeah.
tired. They're not making money anymore. All the good that the store did is pretty much worn out his welcome. They was able to send their daughters off to college. They was able to make a life, but now they're going broke helping people. When they first started, it was a town that was thriving. You know what I mean? It was a town that was it looked like it was going to go somewhere. But since then, people's moved away. The jobs have ended. You know, and and she basically says, yeah, and now it's basically living up to its name, the town of Dead River. Um, she she says people come, they take stuff, they don't pay. Um, they
Mm.
they and he's like, yeah, but there's good intentions. He says, good intentions built this town, built this country. She says, good intentions tore this country down. Um, he promises he won't let it break him. Right about that time, you see an old car. I'm not sure what kind of car that is. It was either Ford or Buick or something like that. Comes to whip it up, and it turns out it's this guy. It's this older Native American man named Ben Whiteman. He pulls up, gets out of the car, says, "Go to hay, Ray Spruce. Go to hay, Chief Woodenhead." And he wants to go inside to talk. Race, of course, is very, very respectful to Mr. Whiteman. He's very, I mean, you can tell he really thinks a
Yeah.
lot of him. Um, he begins to tell Ray that he's very ashamed because he owes him so much money. And he pulls out this leather, this suede like pouch, and it has like these jewels in it. And it's the Jimba, and that's the things that his people has held precious, held sacred, and he's taken one from each family. Um, and he wants him to hold on to him until the debt is paid. If it's not paid within 2 autumns, he keeps the jewels. He keeps all that stuff. Um, he says they're yours to keep if we can't pay. He refuses. He doesn't want to. He says no. These belong to your people. He tells him this way he's giving something, and he's not a beggar. Um, if you
Yeah.
give them back to me, you make my people beggars again, and that can't be forgiven. Um, well, Martha, Ray's wife, steps in and she says, you know what? I'm just saying how people just used us and all that. He said, but you've proven me wrong. Um, and he says, it is a bad thing to borrow. It was a way worse thing to beg. So he gets ready to leave. He gets ready to take off. He goes back to old Chief Woodenhead and says, you know, to hey, bye to Chief Woodenhead, and he gets a weird look on his face, and we kind of notice, it looks like old Chief Woodenhead moved a little bit,
Yeah.
he gets on his face like, whoa, what the fuck? He says, but Ray has a lot of faith in that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I could have kept with that kind of faith, but he just seems to. Well, they go back inside, and the first thing they see is someone that turns out to be Sam White Moon, and he's standing behind a counter, and he's got a shotgun.
Yeah.
It seems he snuck in the store with a gun, and it turns out that Sam is the nephew of Ben White Moon that has just left. Um, and he's joined by his two degenerate friends. One he calls Fat Stuff, and the other one he calls Rich Boy, which is a dude named Andy. He tells them he's telling his friends take what they want. They're like, no, you can't take his stuff. They get real disrespectful. They suck on this, some kinds of bullshit. Ray tells Sam that he's a disgrace to his family. He tells him to watch it. He's a real tough guy. He's pushing around the old people. Um, he said, "You're a disgrace." He said, "Your uncle is one of the best men that I've ever known." Well, he shoves on Ray while his friends steal from the old couple's store. Um, um, Turns out he kicked him out last time, and now he's got a little bit of a score to settle here. He's Mr. Badass. Well, he points a
Yeah.
gun at them and demands that they empty their pockets. Um, and he's like, hey, when we come in the back here, I think I've seen a purse. Old, lady, go back and get it. Well, once he finally gets shitty and she goes back to grab it, he has to take out a photo machine, or he asks if the photo machine works. He steps in there, takes his picture, and oh my god, this guy says he's a movie star.
Yeah.
As soon as these people see his hair, it's gonna make him a movie star. He's been going up for 9 years, and all the women are just dying to run that hair between their legs. You know what I mean? Going to Hollywood, and all this kind of shit. Well, he steps out. He wants to show everybody the picture. Well, she finally comes back with her purse. Like I say, he shows the pic. He's very proud of himself. He's really in love with himself.
Yeah.
And then he starts to talk about, hey, did you guys hear about that old story, about the guy that got power from his hair, but some bitch cut it off, you know what I mean? And then he didn't have any power. It turned out to be Samson and Delilah. Um, then he starts talking about his buddy and how his buddy, parents got money and how they bought him a Firebird, a fucking Firebird. Well, Sam tells Rich Boy to go get his car, that they're going to be leaving sooner than they had planned. Well, he goes out to do that. And then he says, I'll leave, they tell him, why don't you just get the fuck out of here? He said, well, I'll leave once I got one more thing. I want that thing of jewels that my uncle left. Well, he's refusing to give it to him. Meanwhile, Fat Stuff's reaching around him, and this old guy is holding it away from Fat Stuff. Fat Stuff can't get a hold of this shit, even though this guy is fucking much older than him. But in the whole ruckus, Martha gets shot. She goes down. Ray freaks out. He
Yeah.
runs over to check on her, and while he's there, he shoots Ray too. It kills them both. He's talking shit about how he's getting out of there, how, you know what I mean, he hates this place, and you know what I mean, there's no more red men, all this kind of stuff. You can tell that he just has no honor, he has no pride whatsoever. All the rest of the people, they're really prideful people in Native American art. But this guy doesn't come off like one at all.
No.
Well, fat stuff, as he called him, asked him, if he's going to, and he says, yeah, I'm going to leave you behind, fat stuff. I got to have my slave with me wherever I go. Well, on his way out, he's shooting the windows, he's shooting the sign, and he shoots Chief Woodenhead. And they hop in the Firebird and they take off. Well, this is when Chief Woodenhead starts coming back to life, and it kicks in the music and all that kind of stuff. He puts down his bow, he starts putting on his war paint. Meanwhile, they're driving down the road real quiet. You could tell the other two guys didn't exactly agree with what Sam had done. They're assholes, but they're not that big assholes. Well, once Chief Woodenhead finally gets all of his paint and stuff on, he lets out this holler, this war cry like I've never heard before. It's almost like a howl.
Yeah.
Well, it switches off, and now we're at Fat Stuff's place. He's rolling around. Of course, he's getting in the fridge and all that kind of stuff. He's supposed to get ready to leave, but I don't see him packing shit. I don't think he plans on packing anything. He's watching. I don't know what the hell that show is, man. But he keeps on.
The Cisco Kid.
Is that the Cisco Kid? Okay.
Yeah.
I think Loco. He said back up, Loco, Loco, look, and then an arrow goes through his head, and he, which is a pretty good kill. Now we go
Yeah,
over
well,
to
just on that, with the arrows, like the first arrow you see, it goes not through his head, goes through his chest,
Yeah.
and then you see it go
Yeah.
through his hand holding the beer.
Yeah,
And
he
then
looks at it, and then
the effects are really good. I enjoyed that.
Let's see. Let me see here. Oh yeah. Well, anyway, he's dead. Then it switches over to Rich Whisperer's house, and he looks like he's sneaking the fuck out. He's looking really sneaky. He's definitely getting ready to go. You can tell he's going to go because he's the ride. He's the car. It basically boils down to Sam. All Sam needs is a ride and people to do shit for him and kiss his ass. That's all. That's all the good these two are for him.
Yeah.
Well, he hears windows and shit breaking, so he goes into the garage. It's one of those garages that connects to the house. He steps in there, and his parents are just sitting right off here. I don't know how they're not hearing it, but hey, I guess they're into the show. Everybody's watching all the same show. It seems like. But he steps in there and he sees all the windows and everything are broken. Well, Chief Woodhead chops him, and you can see really cool little camera shot here where it's just the shadow. They're not going to show you Chief Woodenhead actually in action yet. I like that. They're just showing his shadow
Yeah.
of him chopping. So he's dead. Well, then it switches over to Sam. Of course, Sam's still looking in the mirror. He's discussing what he's going to do and how everybody's going to love him and how he's great. And well, right about this time, Chief Woodenhead busts in, and this is when we first see him. Well, Sam shoots him, once or twice, and he realizes, holy shit, he's like, this can't be real. You know what I mean? You're not real. But he goes into the bathroom, he shuts the door and locks it, and backs up to the door with the gun. Well, Chief Woodenhead busts through, reaches through, and snatches him and pulls him through the hole. Well, then all you hear is, I think it was supposed to be like an echo of Chief Woodenhead hollering before. Now you hear his echo of his scream. Now it goes to that next morning, and you got his Uncle Ben waking up. His Uncle Ben wakes up, and there's that little satchel of jewels. He knows something must be wrong because if that shit's laying there, something is up. So of course he drives out to Ray Spruce's place. He goes up there, and he doesn't even have to go in. He just goes up. He knew exactly where to go. He was going to Chief Woodenhead.
Yeah.
Because he just had a feeling. He just knew. Went there, and as you can see, that hair that he's so proud of. We got a really good Hitchcockian type ending here. Um, isn't it just funny that he gets scalped with that beautiful hair he was so proud of?
Yeah.
He's still holding on to, and he looks at him and he knows he's like now may your spirit rescue Chief Wood, and then that's the end of that story.
The story itself is a really good introduction to the overall movie. And for me, it set the tone because if you look at it, it's very open. This movie, the areas they're set in are usually quite open. You've got
Right.
this desert scenario where there's nothing. It's a ghost town essentially. Then you've got a secluded lakeside area, and then you've got a highway and a forest. So
Right.
it's less enclosed, I guess, in all three stories. Even the wraparound, like we've got this kid on this bike, he's riding around. There's only a couple, well, maybe one time that he's actually inside.
I hadn't thought about that. This does pretty much all of it take place outside. Yeah, I hadn't
Yeah,
thought about that at all, man.
yeah. But I mean, one thing I'm not
Okay.
sure if you notice it in Old Chief Woodenhead is when Bruce and his wife go back inside the store before they meet Sam. It's bright and daylight outside. The minute they go in, it changes. It's dark outside, but the actual lighting itself, and this is something they used a lot in the first one, they change it to that cartoonish color with the reds and the purples.
Right.
The coloring in behind them changed as well to that. That was really effective. It was a good throwback to the original film.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how it stands on its own though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I like the ending of this one. It's got that very Twilight Zone slash Night Gallery slash Hitchcockian ending where
yeah.
everything he banked on was that hair, and that hair was just going to get him everywhere. He's going to work for 9 years, and that's what the chief took from him was that hair.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of foreshadowing in that just because he's like, look at my hair. It's like me with my beard.
Yeah, 9 years. That's all
Yeah,
I've grown in 9 years. I've been growing mine for a year. That means my shit's gonna be a lot longer than his, and in 9 years, my shit will be a lot longer. And he's Native American. He's supposed to have a lot better hair than us. You know, that's all you did in 9 years, brother. Damn. Now that guy that plays him, that plays Sam. Anybody that's seen the Iron Claw, he plays Fritz von Erich in it.
ah,
He is Fritz von Erich in the Iron Claw in the movie just
okay.
made just a year ago. I knew
Yeah,
that dude playing Fritz von Erich was familiar. It's the dude that played fucking the asshole Native American in the Old Chief Woodenhead. He's
yeah. No,
actually better.
I think it might have been Russell who was saying maybe in the chat he was also in Alien 3.
Yes, yes,
I could be wrong. It may not have been Russell, but if it was, thanks, Russell. Whoever said
yeah,
it.
yes, it was. Let me see. He was also in let's see, Iron Claw, Black
Mm,
Hat, Fight Club, Alien 3.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I guess, I
What's
say
that? Dude?
earlier on, I said that, it doesn't have any huge names. It's not that they're not huge names. It's just they're not big names. They've just been in lots of movies, and they do have those recognizable faces. Like, we've
Yeah,
seen him in other stuff.
yeah,
But I mean, I think, when I look at it, it's like it doesn't have, it doesn't have what's his. I can't. I'm having a mental blank. It doesn't have Leslie Nielsen in it. It doesn't have.
right.
What's his name?
Oh
Becca,
man,
the guy that played Becca.
yeah, Ted Danson.
Ted Danson doesn't have those big, I guess, big names in it, but it still has great actors.
Yeah,
Um, and I guess they transition from Old Chief Woodenhead onto the next animated sequence, and then onto the raft, and just the way it goes really smoothly across. I feel that
oh yeah, yeah,
kid on his bike, he's going to get something from the post office, cash on delivery. I think this one was.
yeah,
That was a second animation. Um,
yeah. He pays
and
him
how he's,
$9.99. Yeah,
yeah, but he's like, oh, Creepshow isn't just a funny book.
yeah,
Yeah, it's more than that. And the look on this animated kid's face is like, this kid,
Yeah.
this kid's a psycho. He's
Yeah.
There's something wrong with him. And I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
again, it's all foreshadowing. We know there's something more going on here.
Yeah, he just thinks that the kid's just kind of, just being a kid, just letting his
Yeah,
imagination run wild. Because at one point he's like, it's a Venus flytrap bulb, you know, and he's like, a Venus what? And he a Venus flytrap that eats meat, and he's out probably just petunia bulb.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think
And
so.
then he sees these. He rides out, or he gets on his bike, and I think this is this where they see, like, we first see the bullies. We don't actually get a good introduction to them until later on, I think.
Yeah, it's after the raft is when
Yeah,
they see him and decide to bully him and mess with him. Yeah.
yeah. So, well, we've got the raft, and this for me, very nostalgic. Like this one holds a lot of fond memories because where I was living at the time with my parents, we had this little, I guess, like a kind of a little lake. The property we were renting, living at, and it was just had a raft in the middle, but it was a very small raft. Wasn't anything like this one. And I remember like watching this movie and then looking out, going and having a look at this, and I'm like, yeah, ain't no way I'm swimming in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but I'm in the raft. It's this beautiful sunny day. It's the end of summer. You've got four university students, and they're heading out to this lake with a raft in the middle. And one of the guys is like, "Look, it's there. There was a group of geology students there last week.
Right.
It's there. It'll be there." So they get there and it looks great. It's the last few weeks of summer or whatever. It's the end of that nice warm weather. It's getting into the cooler times, and they're just out there to have a bit of fun. They've got a little bit of weed. Yeah, they're going to chill out and soak up some rays. They just got to get to the raft, and yeah, so they pull up in this. I think it's probably a Firebird or something. I don't know what kind of car it is, but it
It's either a Trans
Trans Am
Am.
or something.
Remember, it's either a Trans Am or a Camaro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They pull up in this really nice car, and then they all decide. Well, the main guy, the driver. To be honest, I didn't take note of their names. I just knew the
Deke.
driver.
Deke.
He he came prepared. Man, did
Yeah.
you check? He's got this like little casing which he hooks onto his speedos, which
Yeah.
keeps everything nice and dry. So all his joints and that dry, matches dry, everything. Like he knew what he was doing. Gets
Yeah.
in the water and it's like cold as. And the other gentleman, he's like, yeah, dude, I'm a pre-med, you know, almost a doctor. He'll get hypothermia.
Yeah.
Still doesn't stop him from getting straight in there. And then you've got the two girls, and they're like, "Yep, let's go, let's go." And there's one girl, she's a redhead. You think she's going to be the final girl, like the survivor girl, like that. That's what you think, like looking at her, because she's more hesitant, she's more cautious.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to partake in any of the anything. Like she's just out there to have fun,
She
but
finally
not
hit the
smoke
joint a
weed.
couple of times, but it was half-hearted. You know what I mean? She
Yeah,
finally hit it a couple of times.
yeah. I mean, she had that very, very much of a final girl feel.
Yeah.
Like if you look at things like Friday the 13th, the typical stereotypical one. Yeah,
Yes. I wondered how the two guys were ended up being friends. You got this jock type guy and you got this brain type guy. I'm thinking
yeah,
maybe they knew each other from when they were much younger, when they were kids. One grew into a jock, the other one couldn't do sports, so
yeah.
he used his brain, and they're just still friends. That's the way I think.
It kind of reminded me of the friendship in Christine.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I mean, obviously there's lots of Stephen King influences. So I
Oh,
think
yeah.
he's probably brought something from his childhood that's influenced those type of friendships.
Hmm.
And yeah, you are right. Like they are very different people, but you can tell they're friends. It seemed like they'd been friends for a very long time too.
They got nicknames and everything for each other.
Yeah. Yeah, they were, what were those nicknames? Poncherel. I think they were like referring to each other like from Chips.
Yeah.
Um,
Cisco, Poncho. Yeah.
yeah. So, they'd obviously had been friends for quite some time. But they all swim out to this raft, but you get a little bit of foreshadowing when you see him look over and he's looking and he sees this duck or something stuck
Yeah.
in the water, something, and kind of like,
So you should listen to that little voice. You should.
yeah,
It's one of those times where I knew I should listen to that voice. That little voice that every time you hear it, you should listen to it. But sometimes
yeah,
you don't, and every time you don't, you wish you had.
right. And he didn't, because if he did, we would not have
Right.
a movie. It would just end. Let's go. Let's go get some beers and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. They decide to keep swimming out to the raft, and they get there, and that's where the tension really creeps up on this one, because the last girl wearing a Horlicks University top, which ties it back to some of the first film as well. Plus, I think Stephen King used Horlicks University in some of his other movies as well. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
it's it's a tense moment because you see this oil slick, and that's probably the only way you can describe it as an oil slick. It's like a gelatinous
Yeah.
circle, really. Like it's almost a perfect circle, and it
Mm.
just floats and it moves fairly quickly. But they pull the last girl out of the water. Everyone's on the raft. They're all safe for now.
Yeah.
But one thing I did notice with the actual, and I kind of, when I was rewatching it last night, I was calling it a proto blob. So it's very, very similar to the blob in some respects, but it's also not the same color or anything like that. But the way it eats and absorbs things like that. There's a lot of scenes in it where the blob kind of, I feel, took inspiration from this film.
Right.
I think
That,
the blob came out in '88. This came out in '87, so there's definitely some influences. Well, hey, I could be wrong, but it seemed that way to me. So they're stuck on this raft, but a couple of them don't really think there's a lot of danger.
right.
Then of course we start getting they start getting eaten by this oil slick, this proto blob. And I think it's the one I thought would be the survivor girl. She's the one that gets eaten first.
Rachel.
The
Yeah.
the redhead, yeah. And you just see this, and it looks it looks oily, it looks greasy as it goes over and you know pulls away. You know, I
Yeah.
I, I actually remember it being a lot more gruesome.
Yeah. She's
Like,
playing with it. She's actually taking her
yeah,
finger and fucking with it.
yeah,
She's
like,
not worried about it whatsoever. The only one that's really heating it is the big brain in there, which is the smaller kid, the Randy.
yeah, yeah. I'll get onto him in a moment because he's a bit of a creep, but
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I think Rachel, she gets eaten, like she gets pulled in, like it starts ripping away, just dissolving her flesh, and it's a really great gruesome scene. Like it
Yes.
does look really good.
Yeah. She's screaming, "Help me!" Screaming. That'd be awful, man. Because
Yeah,
she pops look up out of there and it's reaching. You can see where it's just devouring her. Yeah.
yeah, and like it's obviously slow and you know it's dissolving basically because it leaves nothing behind. And I say it leaves nothing behind. I'm sure watching it last night, I saw like a tin can in there.
Yeah.
So I saw some other things as well. So, and I mean, that there could be a whole story behind this, and you can make up your own head canon as to where this thing actually came from. But
Right.
to me, it can eat organic stuff, nothing inorganic. It gets trapped in there, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they think, oh, maybe it's full. You know, maybe it's full. Maybe it's had enough. It's going to go away.
Yeah.
No. And so then they've got to sort, decide, do they swim back, things like that. They're discussing it, and as they're going along, this thing moves under the raft,
Yeah.
and it's getting up through these little gaps in the raft. One thing I noticed, like, and I think this is after the big tough guy, he gets, it starts attaching to his feet and just pulls him down, and like you see his leg flip up. Like, it's a
Yeah.
really good gruesome scene of just bone crunching is what you could describe it as.
His
Um,
legs up here.
yeah, and I mean, it's effects like that that are, they're simple but they're effective, because you can just imagine the pain of having your leg go up like that. Ouch.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but then he's gone, and as like I said, this is all set outside, and it's really bright. It's nice. You've got a really good feel of everything around. But I was looking and I'm like, the car's over there. That's
Mm.
really far away. You've got a little rampway just, not too far away.
Yeah.
You know, if they had
So
just went, okay, you go that way, I'll go that way, one of us will live.
yeah.
No.
Well,
Um,
remember the jock guy? He was saying that he thought that he could beat it
yeah,
but before he got a chance to dive into the water and try it, it
yeah,
reached up
true.
underneath and grabbed him and pulled him.
So does that mean it's some sort, it's intelligent? Who knows?
I
Yeah,
guess somewhat intelligent. It has just enough
yeah,
to where it thinks practically. You know what I mean? It
yeah.
has a practical. It has a, what's the best way to put it?
An instinct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, he obviously didn't make
But
it because he gets pulled in and eaten alive. Um, and then we've got the two that are left, and they've the smart guy. I keep forgetting his name. Jeez, um,
Randy,
Randy. He notices that it's coming up between the cracks of the boards. But if they don't stand on those cracks, they're fine. They're safe.
yeah.
The
Well, no,
girl is up in his arms. He's holding onto her. Like, he's like, I'm not that strong. I need to put you down. I can't hold you up. And it makes sense because he's obviously not as strong as Randy was. Like,
right.
so he slowly puts her down.
Holding.
Yeah, he's like, you're choking me. You're choking me. But he slowly puts her down, and they're both safe. And so they're standing on just the board. So they're safe for now. But then it's getting cold. It's getting night, and one of them's keeping an eye on, because it's floated back out a little bit further away. So
It's
they're a bit safer. They can sort of sit down. They don't have to stand up as much. So they decide, I'll keep an eye on it. You rest over there. But it's night. It's getting cold. So they decide to stay. Share warmth, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. And then he turns into this real creep. And this was really like. So he puts it
I
down
agree with it.
because, yeah. Hey, he puts it down on the raft, and we know, like, this monster can come up through the
Mhm.
cracks.
Yeah,
There's no thought process there. He puts it down. He's thinking, has a look. All right. And then he just does the creepiest things that, yeah, starts kissing on her and all that. And he's hearing her, like,
it distracts the shit
thinking
out of him.
she's, yeah, he thinks, oh, I'm in for some here. Oh, no, he
Timing,
is
dude,
not.
timing. Timing, dude. Come on, there's a time and a
Yeah,
place.
exactly. Like, he's just thinking, well, I'm going to die. I might as well. But
Right?
no, no. Um, and then we get this scene with the oil on her face. And,
Oh
like,
man, yeah.
you can
Because
hear
you're
her
moaning like she
scream.
likes it, like you think she's liking it. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
like, but no.
And, like, it's like, yeah, it's game over for her. You know, this we see her get devoured by the oil slick. And not only do we see her get devoured, but we see a little bit more of it. We actually see the skeleton, like, because it's actually devouring the flesh off her entire body. There's nothing left, just this oil covered skeleton. You see the jaw.
Yeah. It went all night
So
without
well
eating.
done.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
I
they
was a
sit
little
there
bit
all night.
hungry. Yeah. And then he decides, all right, that's it. I'm either going to make it or I'm not. I'm going to die here. I'm going to die out there, but I'm going to try and make it. And he starts swimming. And he's not the best swimmer. He's not as good, but he does make it. He's like, yes. He's like really happy. And then he does the stupidest thing. You do not encourage a wild animal like that, because then it's a tidal wave and I love this scene because it's like, I beat you. And then this blanket of blackness just covers him. And you see him like reaching out for the camera.
Yeah.
Then the camera pans out and we see the oil slick drifting slowly back out. And you see a little lump in there where he would have been. Yeah. And it's like, it's had its fill. But I think Russell mentioned no swimming. And as the camera pans away, you see that sign there, no swimming. And I mean, to me, that means, okay, someone knew about this. Someone knew that was there and did nothing about it.
All the weeds had grown up over it, and they
Yeah.
didn't see it. You know what I mean? They're just kids doing kid things. You know, they didn't see
Yeah.
that shit. It's like, wow, that one really has a Stephen King stamp on it. That story.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, definitely. And it's like you said, like the friendship between the two complete opposites. Like you've got the jock and the brain. And that seems to be a very common thread between a lot of Stephen King's work.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it goes back to the wraparound. And we've got young little boy. He's on his bike. He's riding. He's got his package, and he meets up with these bullies, and they are the most despicable looking bastards you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like that, the big fat one. He's like, just ugly. Like he's a cartoon, but he just oozes ugliness from his animated soul. Yeah. And he is just like, even the kids around him, like you've got all different ones. You've got a guy, there's an animated one with glasses. They're just all just despicable people. And they start picking on him and they, grab his thing open and they stomp on one of the bulbs, which I thought, oh, that's interesting. But I mean, this kid's egging him on as well. He's like calling him pimple face, and he's not backing down either. And so he kicks him square in the nuts, like just boom, and then gets on his bike and starts pedaling and pedaling. And we've seen this kid. We know there's something like he when he was talking about these man-eating Venus flytraps, they eat meat.
Yeah.
We know this guy. He's not.
His ass. I love when the biggest bully says, "So what are you gonna do with them? Take them home and plant them to grow some more pansies like yourself."
Yeah. And then he's like, after he's kicked, I want him, get him. And so they all start riding after the kid. And then I think we cut to, is it no, they go to this is one where they go to the actual no entry. Like it's like this foresty area. Trying to remember if that was after the hitchhiker or if it was before.
No, it ended right about there when he took off and they chased him. It pretty much that segment ended right there.
Yeah, cool.
Hey, Cal, let me see here. Please, trust me, Fred. I'm definitely gonna do Trilogy of Terror. That was the first besides the original Night Gallery movie with Roddy McDowell. That was the first anthology I ever seen with Trilogy of Terror, where Karen Black plays all three roles. That is a great one, man.
Yeah.
where it's got Zuni warrior doll.
Yep.
Well, this is the hitchhiker. This is the Thanks for the Ride. And this one also has it has a cameo by Stephen King. He plays the truck driver.
Yeah.
Well, this one starts out. It kind of pans inside for a change, and it's dark, and you hear a car honking, and you see a woman laying there in bed. You can tell she's naked underneath the covers or whatever. Well, she kind of slowly wakes up and looks, and she sees that the alarm clock is flashing. Obviously, the power has went out sometime throughout the evening. Well, she checks her wristwatch, and she says, "It's 11:15. I gotta go." Well, the dude next to her says, there must have been a power outage. It always goes back
Yeah.
to 12 o'clock. When it when the power was out. Which he made it sound like only his does that. Everybody says that. But she comments that that piece of digital junk could land her in divorce court. So she's obviously married, and she's obviously cheating on her husband. He says, "Annie," we find out her name is Annie. Annie, please, you've already got your Mercedes, and actually tosses him some money. Um, you already got your Mercedes, and at these rates, I'm never going to get mine. She says, "Well, that's the price you quoted me." He says, "Well, that was an introductory price." He says, "I do my job well, and I expect to be paid well." He said, "Now, level with me. I counted 6 orgasms." Um, but anyway, she's like, "Oh, we're charging by the orgasm." He's like, "That's a good idea." So she throws in some more money, and he's, "Oh, by the way, if this does go the wrong way, I can get you a good attorney, and if he decides to divorce you." She says, "I've already got a good attorney. It's my husband." So she leaves and begins on her way, and this particular scene, for some reason, when she pulls up at the stoplight, and there's no one else around. I don't know how many times that I've experienced that in my life, where 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning I pull up to the stoplight, there's like no one, and I'm just sitting there at the stoplight. Well, she talks about how you know Annie see what's her last name? Annie Lansing, the winner of the 100
Yeah.
yard dash, attempting the impossible, 20 miles in 7 minutes. Maybe he'll be late, but no, never him. He's punctual. It's he says 11:30 means 11:30. It doesn't mean 11:29. It doesn't mean 11:31. He means 11:30. She starts trying to come up with excuses. It's not working. It's just not fitting. And she's heading down the road. She's flying. I hate to think how fast she's going, because like I said, she's trying to get 20
Yeah.
miles in 7 minutes. Well, she's smoking a cigarette,
Crazy.
and she obviously adores this car. If she adores this car so much, and she's getting this Mercedes, why is she smoking in it? I wouldn't, and I smoke, but
Yeah.
she loses control of the cigarette, drops it. Well, she loses control of the car and everything else. Well, she ends up hitting something. She's not sure what she hit. She whips over here. She looks, and there's somebody laying in the road, and he's not looking alive. But she didn't get a chance to check it out because she sees some more lights coming. So she's like, I gotta get out of here, because last thing she wants is because that right there that would be killing someone. That'd be vehicular manslaughter, and she'd be caught in a place where she would have to explain why she's there. So she takes off. So that's a hit and run. So she takes off really fast. Back at the accident, a car whips up, and a truck whips up. The truck is the one that
Yeah.
says Stephen King in it. The other one, the person in the other car, this is long before cell phones, but he has a car phone. That guy will become important here in a few minutes. He starts talking about how he's like, "What happened?" And Stephen King's like, "Oh, the guy got creamed. That's what happened. It happens all the time." And he looks, looks like a black guy, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't understand what the hell that had to do with it, but okay. Well, so the guy with the car phone calls 911. So she's reported. They didn't see her though, but the trucker said he did pass somebody going awfully fast. It switches back to her. She's talking to herself again. She's trying to reason with herself. Can you live with
Yeah.
this? This guy's dead. Oh, well, he may not be dead though. So now she's reckoning and reasoning with herself. She's rationalizing with herself. So she turns back on her whatever kind of music. It's got violins and all this kind of stuff going on. She tries to forget about it. She passes a thing that says Hampton, exit 3, next. Well, she passes another hitchhiker, and she's kind of looking there, and she's like, "Wait a minute." Um, and then she notices it looks like the same guy. So she turns away to look back, and he's gone. She's like, "Am I just imagining shit? Am I freaking out?" But before she can leave again, he's at the door. Thanks for the ride, lady. Thanks
Yeah.
for the ride. And she's just like, "What the fuck? What the hell? What's going on?" She peels out, takes off, and then goes out the road a little ways, stops again. So she thinks she's hallucinating. Now all of a sudden he's on top of the car. So for some reason she opens up the goddamn sunroof. That's the last thing I would do, but okay. And he's sticking his head there. Thanks for the ride, lady. Well, she rolls it up on his arm. He's screaming. Um, and then she takes off full speed, goes off road, and decides to drive through the woods to get rid of him, I guess. She's destroying the car.
Yeah.
But he's hanging on. I mean, you know what I mean? The whole time. Thanks for the ride, lady. Well, she knocks him off. She kind of clotheslines him with a branch going across. And you hits him right in the fucking face. Um, she stops, cries for a minute, opens the glove compartment and reaches for a gun. But before she can really do anything with it, he opens up the passenger doors and says, thanks for the ride, lady. Thanks for the ride. She shoots him twice in the face. He falls, leads right back up, and says, thanks for the ride. Shoots him again 4 more times. She empties the gun in his face, basically, and kicks him out, shuts the door, takes off.
Yeah, I
Um,
did like the way she did that. Like that was really
yeah,
well done
yeah,
because she's scared. Like there's
yeah.
no,
Well, I mean, can you
it's
imagine?
yeah. I mean, it's not like a super smooth kick. It's like a frantic
It
kick with
hurts.
both legs. It was
Yeah.
yeah, it done well.
Well, she looks like she's gonna take off. Instead, she stops and backs the fuck over him. I got you. I got you. You know, is what she's saying. And she runs over him again and then speeds away. Now she's talking to herself again the whole time. Yeah, Mrs. Lansing, the car's destroyed, Mrs. Lansing. Um, Now she notices him hanging on the front of the car on the grill. Um, and he and he pulls up the hitchhiking sign and shows it to her.
Yeah,
So she drives off road again and smashes him into a tree. Backs up, runs him over and over and over. Finally, knocking herself out, she's fucking ran into him so fucking hard. Well, she passes out. She wakes up. Um, she don't see him anywhere. She thinks he's going crazy or whatever. I think she pulls away, going, "That'll cost you, Mrs. Land." Um, well, before that happens, though, she wakes up and the snow is falling, you know, and the car is actually stuck to the tree. Um, but she thinks it was a dream. Well, it's a dream, you know. She doesn't know where the hell she's at. So she heads back toward looking for the road again. She thinks she's just crazy, or she mentions maybe having a concussion. She figures, but then she figures, hey, maybe this will at least explain why I'm late. Like I had a bad car accident. I had a bad accident, dear. So she says, well, she goes and
yeah,
she pulls her into her driveway. You're assuming it's her driveway. When she opens up the door and pulls in the garage, of course, yeah, it definitely is. So now she thinks she's just gotten lucky, you know. Well, all of a sudden it's thanks for the ride, lady, and he's all fucked up now. Now he's over there,
yeah, oh yeah,
thanks for the ride. His tongue just kind of saying, and he's all up on her face here. She's screaming, fucking freaking out. Now she definitely is creeped. Now it switches off, and later, now another car is pulling into the driveway. Now you find out who the guy at the phone in the car was. It was her husband, so he was right behind her. She barely missed him. He opens the garage, goes in, sees her. She's dead, sitting there with his sign on her lap that says "Dope."
yeah,
That was a simple case, a simple story of guilt. She was guilty
Yeah, I
all over.
mean,
She was cheating on her husband. She was paying for a male prostitute. She fucking hit and ran a dude over and over and over and over.
she was just probably the most despicable character out of all of them because there was no like it was she was felt guilty, but there was no actual remorse. She was always thinking of ways to protect herself, like
Hey,
to protect herself from her husband and getting a divorce and losing all that she had.
that's all that
Yeah,
mattered to her. That's why she was married
yeah,
to him. Money.
yeah.
Hey, Darren.
But I mean that car took a pounding like that.
So she wanted was
Yeah,
this pretty fucking custom fucking Mercedes that she just destroyed.
yeah,
See, and that right there fits in with the guilt. She was
yeah.
felt so guilty that you know what I mean, for everything that she was doing here, that she took it out on herself by destroying that car that she adored so much.
Yeah, I did read that like the hitchhiker was a not wasn't a ghost, wasn't a zombie because obviously there's a lots of blood. There's blood inside the car. But how did his body, like, because his body's there, like people are looking at it. So what actually happened? Apparently, it's some sort of revenant. I don't know the difference between too much, but I thought that was interesting. Like, how did the hitchhiker, his body, move around, even though he's still dead and people are still looking at his dead body, or assuming they are?
I think it's all just a big delusion, man.
Mm,
He was actually still back there with Stephen King, and you know what I mean.
yeah,
They came and picked
but then
up him. You know,
because when the car pulls into the garage, there's blood all on the front. There's blood in the seat. There's blood everywhere.
yeah. But
Yeah.
when her husband comes in there, is there? I don't think there's blood inside there on her and all inside the car when her husband shows up there. I think it's just the sign. But
Mm.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I might have to revisit it again, just for
Yeah,
that. But it's
yeah,
interesting because it does play into the whole guilt
right.
against supernatural. Like, is it all in her head, or is there something more to it? And I guess you could look at it both ways. Like maybe it's a combination,
Yeah, yeah.
but maybe she's just guilty over all the things she's doing to maintain her
Right.
extravagant lifestyle or whatever.
And I
But
think once she hit him and hit and ran and took off, I think that finished her off. The guilt
yeah,
just, you know, they say that guilt will drive
nah,
you crazy.
yeah, yeah. That's definitely a good point. Yeah, I none of these stories I dislike. None of them.
Right.
They are
Mm.
all good, and especially I love the effects in this one. Like when he gets when the hitchhiker goes in at the end and his face is all mangled and it's
Big old
just so yeah, and the vocals of it, it's just yeah, yeah.
because he just
There's
targets her face like licking it almost. Yeah, fuck.
and I mean the way she's just there dead, like it is kind of like maybe she had a heart attack or something because of the fright and all the guilt. Just she dead.
Yeah, they say that you can get so full of fear and so full of fright
Yeah.
that it actually stops your heart. You actually die. You know, you die of
Mm.
fright. That's what
Well, I
they
mean
say.
that's a whole basis for the Ring and movies
Right.
like that,
Right.
like those Japanese horror movies where you know they're scared to death essentially. So maybe that's part of it. Who knows?
True.
But then we've got the final wraparound, the final part to the story where young Billy, we'll call him Billy. I can't remember his name honestly.
Really, yeah.
Um, yeah, my memory's shot to shit nowadays.
Okay.
um, I just watched it last night and I cannot remember a single name. Um, yeah, like he he's riding his bike. He's on the run from these, you know, the bullies, and he gets to this like sort of grove area, I guess you could call it, and he sort of looks as though he's going to stand his ground and take them on.
Yeah, it goes to a dead end, don't he?
Yeah, they all get off their bikes like, I'm going to pound you, I'm going to beat you,
Yeah.
and we see these things just come up
Yeah.
and they eat meat.
Yeah.
It's his giant Venus flytrap bulbs. He's obviously ordered them before. He knows what they are. He's had this plan for some time, and we just see these bulbs, just these Venus flytraps come down and start eating on these bullies. And we get to the final bully, the big bully, the ugly bully.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, with the spurs on it, like the cowboy spurs. And we see him and like he actually looks like he's quite big and muscular apart from his, because he's holding the jaws of this flesh-eating Venus flytrap open.
I think he's much older too. You know what I mean? I think he's an older boy. He's probably 8 years older than Billy.
Yeah, and he actually reminds me of the bully from It. The I can't remember his name, but yeah, like very similar. And that's what I mean. Like, I think Stephen King's taken a lot from all of his stories and put them into other stories. Changed a few details, but yeah.
It was Henry, I think, was his name.
Yeah. Yeah, Henry Bauer.
Yeah.
Henry Bauer, that was it. But yeah, and yeah, finally he loses his strength and the Venus flytrap closes and then it spits out
one boot.
That one of the boots, brown boot with those steel spurs on it.
Yeah.
And then we get the kid. They eat meat.
Yeah.
But just
giant flytraps. Yeah. They eat meat. Yeah.
Like just the kids literally, he's a crazy kid. Like it wouldn't surprise me if he's like the basis of what's his name? Rob Zombie's Halloween, Michael Myers.
Right. Yeah.
But then we move, the camera moves back out and it transitions from the animated to the real world. And we've got a final shot of the creep. And he's just throwing the comics as the truck drives away. Laughing maniacally. Yeah. That's it. That's to the next town, I guess, to deliver books to other crazy kids. But yeah, that was Creepshow 2.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, it's I have fun doing these anthology reviews, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, yeah, thanks Russell, man. I appreciate it, man. Check when you fucking film review. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, never fear. Yeah, I plan. Let me see. I got a line of them here. Told Terry, Southbound, Black Sabbath. Let me see. Perfect House, even. Tales. Let me see. From Whisper to a Scream. Tales of Witness Madness. From Beyond the Grave, Asylum, House of Drift Blood. I mean, all those I intend on doing. Trilogy of Terror, all of them.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I don't have a lot of the older anthologies in my collection. I do have a lot of the VHS ones. I think I'm only missing one of them. So if you ever want to talk about them, let me know. But I mean, I've got Creepshow. I've got my Arrow edition. Try and get the. Let me see if I can change the. I'll take the background off for a sec.
Cal likes Creepshow. Like I say, if you could take a couple of them out of the original Creepshow and throw Woodenhead and the Raft in there, you'd have the perfect Creepshow.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't hate any of these stories. Like, they are all good.
Right.
They are all enjoyable. But yeah, if you put put a gun to my head and asked me to choose, I couldn't do it. Like I like them both.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually wanting to do actual Tales from the Crypt episodes, Night Gallery episodes, and shit like that too. I'm actually wanting to do full episodes like that too, not just the movies and the anthology. But I'm wanting because I got a shitload of those too, man. So I'm wanting to do some of that shit too.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah, I do enjoy the like Creepshow TV series as well. Also, I'm a huge fan of the old, not the old Outer Limits, but the '90s Outer Limits. I don't know if you're a fan of that one.
um, I, I've seen a little bit of it. Now I have the original Outer Limits. I
Yeah,
have all those volumes. Um,
yeah. So it never really showed over here, but the remake one was a late night sort of like on an obscure night, night. It was just randomly put on at like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, growing up in the '90s, like going to high school and whatnot, it's like yeah, I'll watch it. But that I love that. Like I would gladly rewatch that any day of the week over a lot of the stuff that's out now. It's the same with these movies, like you know, Creepshow 2.
maybe some Masters of Horror. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
I have all the Tales from the Crypt. I have all the Twilight Zone. I have all the Night Gallery. I have all the Outer Limits. I have the first season or whatever of the Masters of Horror.
oh yeah,
Um, I've got a couple of things of Alfred Hitchcock. You know what I mean? So I've got tons of anthology shit. I'm a big short story fan.
yeah, and that's one of the things I do like about those kind of TV series, the anthology ones, like Tales from the Crypt, Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. Each week it's something different,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
the same with these anthology movies. Each one is something different. You know, it's just good.
very true. Yeah. Um, uh, and not at one point I was doing episodes of see I just want to do episodes of something too, remember at one point I was doing those episodes of The Last of Us and Penny Dreadful with
Yeah, yeah,
American Werewolf.
yeah,
um but we both got caught up in what we were doing, and we just never finished it. He wanted to
yeah.
stop. He didn't like The Last of Us, so that's why we only did up to like 80% of the first season. But
Yeah, yeah, no, it's I really enjoyed The Last of Us. I thought it was great. The TV show that I watched recently was Fallout. That was amazing. But then again, I'm a fan of the games, so
uh, um, so what do you got happening here in the next few days, man?
what have I got happening? Well, I'm doing a live stream tomorrow, just a hangout, talk about movies that are upcoming. Hopefully we'll have either yourself, Kal-El, a couple of other people maybe. I've got a question I want to ask Kal-El when he's on there tomorrow. So it's a Superman related question. So get yourself ready for that, Kal-El. Um, other than that, I'm still collating the votes for horror YouTuber of the month. It's good. Like there's some great channels on there. I'm really happy with who I looked at, and
I voted.
yeah, but I mean some of those it was tough, man. Like it was tough um
No,
as to picking someone. Like,
yeah, because you got to get it down to someone who hasn't won it yet. You got to get someone.
yeah,
You got to get someone who doesn't have more than 999 subs. You got to get somebody who does regular content. And I went by all those rules. I made sure to go by all those rules. I'm going to pick somebody that didn't do, I hadn't done content in a long time. I didn't
yeah,
want to pick somebody that only had 50 subs. You know what I mean? At least have 100. At
yeah,
least get that 100 or more. You know what I
yeah. I
mean?
mean
Like I looked at.
there was one channel that I really wanted to nominate, and yeah, I reached out to them, and they would have loved. They were like completely on it, and this is a really good channel. Alexi Gamma.
Okay.
Really nice guy, great channel, but unfortunately, he's just not regular, like content wise. Yeah, and that's life. Yeah, it happens. Um, but would definitely recommend it if you're not subscribed to him. Check him out. He's really smart, intelligent reviews. Um, but yeah, other than that, the horror
Mikey,
YouTuber of the month.
Mi-
Sorry.
Mikey took me down too. Mikey asked me not to nominate him too. So
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I mean, Mikey puts out a lot of content, a lot of good content too. But I get it. Like it's tough. Like people get nominated, but they don't win it. It can have a toll. Let's just say.
well, trust me, I went nearly 3 years and wasn't even
Yeah,
nominated.
yeah,
So I was doing fucking 4 or 5 days a week of content for
yeah,
about a year or so there, and still wasn't nominated. You talk about feeling screwed, man. I was like, what about me?
yeah.
Wait, hold on a minute. So at least everybody was getting nominated. You know what I mean? But
Exactly.
I can see that point too, though. Getting nominated
Yeah,
over and over again and not winning. I can understand that too.
yeah. I
But
mean, for
it's
me, it's nice to be recognised.
that's the
I'm
whole
just happy to
point.
be.
That's the whole point with me. I just wanted my peers to
Yeah,
acknowledge that I was a member of the club
yeah,
and that I deserved to be in the conversation. That
yeah.
was all I ever wanted.
And you know what? I think we do that on a day-to-day basis. Like whenever we're in a stream or anything, we're always acknowledging those channels. You may, Mikey's Morg. You've got Alexi, Chris. We've named a bunch of people, and they're all great channels. Yeah, what can we say? What more can anyone say about these guys? That they're great channels.
To be
My
acknowledged
channel's
by your
great. Your channel's
peers,
great.
to be acknowledged by your peers as doing good work,
Yeah,
doing good content is about the best compliment you can get. That's more
exactly.
important. That's more important than winning horror YouTube. For someone
For-
to acknowledge that you're doing good content is way more important.
It's all you want, really. It's all you want. It's all you need.
So,
But
I mean, you
um,
want all your peers to look at you as shit. You know what I mean? You want
yeah,
everybody to respect you. Um, what I got coming up is tomorrow. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I will be doing. Knight and I will be moving on in our Romero Dead series. We've gotten to Diary of the Dead now. We've done
yep,
Night of the Living Dead on his channel, and then we did Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and Land of the Dead on mine. And we're still trying to figure out. I assumed we was going to be on mine, but then he sent me a link to his. So now we need to figure out where we're going to be for Diary tomorrow at 5. And then Monday, or and then tomorrow night, I'll probably join you for a little bit on yours.
yep,
And then Monday I've got two of them. At 8 o'clock, I will be doing a Dario Argento's Tenebrae discussion with Darren from Subjective Perspective Collective. And then at midnight, Chris and I will be moving along to our slash alongs, and we will be doing Friday the 13th Part 3. From
yeah,
there, I don't know. Just stay tuned, I guess.
yeah. Actually, subjective perspective collective. Yeah, definitely, it can be a blessing and a curse
Yes.
being
Oh, it
nominated.
certainly
It can
is.
be.
And big
Yeah, yeah.
ask me, and I'll tell you.
Like, and that's not taking away from anyone's personal thoughts or feelings that they've had on it. But you are right. It's great, but it's also there can be pressure. There can be so many different things that all contribute to it. But yeah. Um,
It's all a
if
learning
you don't mind,
experience.
do you mind if I pop the link in the chat for my live stream tomorrow?
But yeah, go ahead, man.
Yes. That way, if anyone clicks on it, it will be in your local time, so you'll see it the time that's in your local area. It's really hard for me to actually because there are different time zones in America, there's different time zones in Australia, and then you've got a 13-hour time difference between the two of us, and it's like So if anyone's wondering what time it is, click on the
About
link.
noon there.
Yeah, you'll be able to see what time it is in your local area.
What time you got there? About noon, 11 or 12?
Yeah, it's 12:15 noon,
Yes.
12:15
I'm figuring
p.m.
it out, man. I'm figuring it
Yeah.
out.
So I'm shit with things like that. I'm just like, just point me in the direction of a link, and I'll click on it, and that'll tell me.
I also have tons of videos that I need to do as far as pickups. I got pickups a mile high that I need to do. I need to actually do some uploads and do some pickup bits. I've been kind of had my head wrapped around old classic actresses and stuff here lately, and
Yeah. I
paying
mean, they're
tribute
kicking
to
ass, man.
them.
They're really good. Like, there's a lot of love that's put into those, man.
Yeah, I just want to do whatever, you know what I mean? Those were all all about passion and love and just doing what I want to do without giving a shit about any views, giving a shit about this or that, just doing it for fun. That's all that was fun. It was quite liberating. So yeah, I'm not Canuck. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll just put it Northern Hemisphere.
see, Cal says it's so hard for people not to win. He did vote
Yeah.
against other friends for another. I cringe every time. But yeah, I remember some people mad about not winning, but there are people that never been nominated. Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, ask me, I tell you, I've been on about every possible side of this YouTube community, possibly be on it for years. I've been everywhere. So
Yeah.
let's hope that I've learned a lot, and everybody else has too. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, man, I will see you tomorrow night. Thanks everybody for joining us and all that kind of stuff. I appreciate it. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the review. I'm gonna keep doing these. I'm gonna try to cover every anthology I possibly
Yeah.
can with all you guys. So yeah,
Yeah. We'll
everybody have a
definitely have
great
to. We'll have to. When you get to the VHS ones, let me know, because I've got them and I'd love to discuss them.
cool. That'll work, man. Um, yeah. All right, have a great night. I will see you hopefully tomorrow at 5 o'clock on either my channel or nights as we do a walk or
Yeah.
bunch of Diary of the Dead. And other than that is Ninja. I am Agoraphobe, and you are not. Have a great night. A little gas. How about that? Eventually, maybe. Here, let's start again.
Because I am agoraphobe and you are not.